Welcome back, everyone. Today we have an absolutely loaded episode for you that Cowboys Nation is going to be buzzing about. There is so much swirling around the star right now, from the emergence of key players to behind-the-scenes drama, rival teams plotting to steal future Hall of Famers, and even a bizarre story involving Dak Prescott that is now making headlines everywhere. If you're a die-hard Dallas Cowboys fan, buckle up, because this one is going to hit every emotional note: excitement, pride, shock, and maybe even a bit of outrage as we dive into the latest around Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and the revelation about how close the Eagles were to landing Micah Parsons. This is going to be a ride, and you're not going to want to miss a single second. Let's start with some incredible news about Williams, because Cowboys fans are really going to love what's happening with him. This is a young pass rusher who came into the league with raw, explosive talent, and the coaching staff has been waiting for the light bulb to fully click on. Over the past few weeks, something has changed. Teammates have been talking about a different energy, a sharper focus, and a hunger that's visible in every rep. Coaches have described him as relentless and on a mission. In practices and preseason action, Williams has been blowing past defensive tackles with a combination of speed and power that's impossible to ignore. He's starting to look like the perfect complementary piece opposite Micah Parsons, someone who can force offenses to pick their poison when deciding who to double-team. If this trend continues, Williams might be one of the breakout stars of the season, the kind of player who elevates the entire defense from great to absolutely terrifying. CeeDee Lamb, meanwhile, continues to remind everyone that he's not just a talented wide receiver, he's a legitimate superstar, a cornerstone for this offense, and a leader in the locker room. There have been some quiet questions in the offseason about whether he was satisfied with the team's progress, or whether he might be thinking ahead to his next contract. But what we're seeing now is a player who is locked in, motivated, and determined to take his game to an even higher level. Reports out of camp say Lamb has been working tirelessly on refining his route tree, perfecting his timing with Dak, and building chemistry with the other wideouts so that the passing attack has multiple layers. In scrimmages, Lamb has been unstoppable, making contested catches, breaking tackles, and turning routine plays into highlight reel moments. There's a confidence in him right now that feels contagious, the kind of energy that makes teammates believe they're on the verge of something special. And in a league where elite wide receivers can change the outcome of games with one or two big plays, having CeeDee in peak form could be the difference between a playoff run and a championship season. Now, we have to address the bizarre, slightly messy, but undeniably headline-grabbing story surrounding Dak Prescott and what's now being referred to as the spit drama. This all started during a heated practice session that turned physical between offensive and defensive players. Emotions were running high, words were exchanged, and somehow, things escalated to a point where eyewitnesses claimed Dak was involved in an incident where spit was either directed at or near another player. The story has been sensationalized across social media, with some outlets framing it as a sign of tension within the team, while others dismiss it as nothing more than the kind of emotional boiling point that happens in every competitive locker room. The truth, as it often is somewhere in the middle. Sources close to the team have indicated that while the moment was real, it wasn't nearly as hostile as some are making it out to be. There was no long-term resentment, no lingering bitterness, and the players involved have since moved on, even joking about it internally. But in the world of NFL media, where every eyebrow raise gets turned into a full-blown soap opera, this minor dust-up has been spun into a narrative about Dak's leadership and composure. For fans, the important thing to remember is that Dak remains one of the most respected figures in the locker room, someone whose teammates trust and rally around, even when things get heated. And then, there's the revelation that has set off a tidal wave of what-ifs across the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles apparently wanted Micah Parsons before the Cowboys drafted him, and they came closer to making it happen than many realized. This nugget came to light through recent interviews with scouts and front office insiders, who revealed that the Eagles brass had identified Parsons as a dream pick for their defense, a player who could redefine their pass rush, provide sideline-to-sideline speed, and become the centerpiece of their defensive scheme for years to come. But as fate would have it, the draft board fell just right for Dallas to snag Parsons, and the rest, as they say, is history. For Cowboys fans, it's a delicious twist of fate. Imagine Micah Parsons in midnight green terrorizing Dak Prescott twice a year instead of wearing the star on his helmet. The thought alone is enough to make fans shudder. Instead, Dallas got him, and he's become one of the most dominant defensive players in the league, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate every single season, and the heart of a unit that now strikes fear into opponents every week. Knowing how close your bitter rival came to stealing him makes his impact feel even sweeter. What's particularly exciting about all of this is how the pieces are starting to align for Dallas at just the right time. The defense, anchored by Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, DeMarcus Lawrence, and now a rapidly ascending Sam Williams, looks deep, fast, and aggressive. The offense, with CeeDee Lamb ready to dominate, Brandon Cooks stretching the field, a solid offensive line, and Dak Prescott determined to silence critics, has the potential to be explosive. Even the minor drama that inevitably pops up during training camp seems to be fueling the team's competitive fire rather than fracturing it. There's a sense that this Cowboys team is coming together not just as a collection of talented individuals but as a cohesive, driven unit with a shared goal. Of course, with the Cowboys, expectations always run high, and with that comes scrutiny. Every interception in practice, every sideline argument, every rumor about contracts or rivalries gets amplified. That's the nature of being America's team. But when you strip away the noise and focus on the substance, what we're seeing right now is a roster loaded with playmakers, a coaching staff that knows how to deploy them, and a window of opportunity that's wide open. This season could be the one that changes the narrative, that puts to rest decades of frustration, and re-establishes the Cowboys not just as contenders but as champions. There's also an undercurrent of rivalry energy that's hard to ignore. The fact that the Eagles, fresh off a Super Bowl appearance, were this close to adding Micah Parsons only intensifies the bad blood between the two franchises. It adds another chapter to a rivalry that already has plenty of heat, and you can bet both teams are circling those head-to-head matchups on the calendar. For the players, it's fuel. For the fans, it's drama, excitement, and bragging rights on the line. And for the league, it's must-watch television, the kind of clash that defines seasons and creates legends. So where does that leave us heading into the heart of the season? It leaves us with a Cowboys team that feels dangerous, unpredictable, and maybe, just maybe, destined to break through. Sam Williams emerging as a force off the edge could give Dan Quinn the flexibility to unleash even more creative blitz packages. CeeDee Lamb playing at an elite level could open up the entire playbook for Mike McCarthy. Dak Prescott, despite the occasional off-field noise, remains the steady hand and competitive heartbeat of the offense, a quarterback who has endured criticism, battled through injuries, and still finds ways to lead his team into contention year after year. And knowing that your biggest rival wanted your biggest star, but you got him first, is just the kind of poetic twist that makes football so compelling. As Cowboys Nation digests all of this, one thing is clear: there's a reason for real, tangible excitement this year. This isn't hype built on speculation or wishful thinking. It's built on visible growth, proven production, and a locker room that seems to understand that the window doesn't stay open forever. If you're a fan, soak it in. Enjoy the rise of players like Sam Williams. Appreciate the brilliance of CeeDee Lamb. Laugh at the silly drama that tries to knock the team off balance but only seems to make it stronger. And never forget how close your rivals came to taking away the player who may very well lead you to the promised land. Thanks for watching, And if you enjoyed this deep dive into all things Cowboys, from the latest breakout stars to the juicy rivalries and even the offbeat locker room stories, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the updates we've got coming your way all season long.